What's up, Starcraft fans? Last time we did Kerrigan with lurkers and spine and spark crawlers. This time we will do Swann, heavy weapon specialist. This will make his laser drill lose their top bar abilities but gain a splash damage that slows down enemies. So my masteries for this one will be combat drop duration in life because I do not have concentrated beam. I will have structure health because static defense will need to survive, and laser drill build time, and upgrade cost because I do count laser drill as a static defense. It's fixed in place, it helps you defend, and it deals damage, so it counts. So we will once again do Temple of the Past. We have to protect the center of the map from the enemy waves that will come for 26 in-game minutes. Thank you to Notorious Thief, who is supporting me in the pulse, or in the immobilization wave tier, I should say. And Darth, Lucinous, and Peternus is Shadow Archon, who are supporting me in the Pulse Cannon tier. And thank you to my supporters on Patreon. Once again, we're on Maguro map, so I can assign the enemy composition, which is Ground Roach Zerg. Cool. So once again, we spawn on the west base of Temple of the Past. Our expansion is in the north. Temple is in the center. We need to protect this temple from enemy waves. Opening for Swann, same as it always is. We start with a depot at 14 supply. The reason I'm building the depot in this area between my command center and my minerals is because it's the closest. I can start the soonest with an SCV that will just barely move off its regular mining path. And you can see after completing the depot, I send it right back. And I don't mind it being in the middle of the command center in the refinery because I can just lower it. My SCVs will continue to have free access across unimpeded, so there's no downside to building it there. Next, I single build a factory. This is par for the course. I always use a single worker for the factory so that more of my workers can continue harvesting minerals to optimize my income. But once I complete the factory, I will use 4 workers to build the armory so that I can have the armory up at the same time as this here laser drill. And when that lines up, I will basically have efficient use of my resources because the harvesting will be optimized with a single worker working on the factory and 4 workers quickly finishing the armory so that they can get back to work. And then the laser drill will immediately be upgradable once the armory has completed, and that's exactly what the plan is for me. I fly this factory down here because it has, well, 2,000 health, and it will be a fantastic tank to absorb damage from the first wave of enemies so that they don't immediately go for the rocks and then straight to the temple. As you can see, laser drill finishes as my armory completes. So again, with this build, 16 gas, 17 factory single build, and armory when the factory completes quadruple build. With that build, you'll be able to upgrade the laser drill right away as soon as it is online. You can see factory sitting down here providing vision for my laser drill, allowing it to shoot these roaches, and you can see the splash damage immediately doing wonders and is slowing down these guys so that they do not damage the rocks right away. And in fact, 3 of the roaches go down before they even reach the rocks, and the rest will just fall. Right now I have a blaster billy working on my expansion. It has already destroyed the main mineral rock for my expansion. And now it's working on these gas farms. You can see I'm going to have another depot here because, again, it doesn't block the pathing of my workers. So it's fine. Once the gas rock goes down, I automatically have the turret, the blaster billy, salvage itself so that I can refund the minerals. Factory once again providing valuable vision for my laser drill. And you now see that the second level upgrade is on the way. The first upgrade has completed, and now it's dealing much more damage than initially it did. Zerglings go down very quickly, and those roaches will follow suit. I did in fact target the rocks, which is definitely a mistake. It's a 100% mistake. but it's not going to be a costly one. Meanwhile, I start this gas. You can see that I haven't really gone for the gas drones yet. I always recommend for newer Swann players not to rush too early into gas drones. Yes, you need gas, but you need your early minerals to go into stuff like infrastructure, your units, your upgrades, because the gas drones, yes, they do provide a lot of gas over time throughout the course of the game, but in the immediate start of the game, you don't really need the fast gas right away. You can see I'm floating 300 gas here, and I haven't even started any gas drones. It's actually preferable to just work on your laser drill upgrades, and of course to get the laser drill mastery, so that you can actually deal way more damage. You can say I have these Ares just patrolling back and forth here, not actually shooting, because the name of the game is static defense, so I do not want to have the Ares take too much damage away from actual static defense. Actually moving down here, where they will fire at this here hive, so that it will stop producing larvae and drones and enemy units, which will make life harder for my static defense over here. Meanwhile, first two tanks are on the way. They will siege up here and use the vision provided by my factory to whack away at these static defense structures. Another wave here. The Ares, you can see, is still operational. It is still whacking away at this next wave that will take away some damage from my laser drill, but not too much. I think it is acceptable. I reckon it is acceptable damage. I've also started the Hercules here, because the Hercules will allow my tanks to be mobile. They're still static defense, but they can be relocated a lot faster. Like so. So you can see I'm whacking away the Thrasher and dodging the Thrasher's attacks without needing to unsiege my tanks. And that is valuable if you're a siege tank commander like Swann. Pick up these tanks. So you can see the hybrid at 6 minutes is a ground-based hybrid, which means the 9-minute wave will come from two sides, the northwest, southeast. So you can see now I have two static defense, a spinning dizzy, and a blaster billy in progress, under construction at this ramp, and I have another two static defense structures built on this side. I unload the tanks, then pick them up right away so that they can deal damage and avoid taking damage themselves. The Hercules is rather tanky, so it can actually absorb a few of these hits. More importantly, it just teleported by siege tanks to the other side. The Hercules has a cooldown which allows it to teleport across the map when that cooldown is off. So that allowed these same tanks, these same 7 tanks, to defend this area and this other area. And that is quite useful to have in a game like this, because you are ping-ponging back and forth between your bases and you do not want the enemy to break any location if they don't have to. Once again, factory providing vision this area, dealing valuable damage to these targets, softening them up for my tanks, which are now operational, and whacking this area. My Ares, once again, a stopgap measure until my tanks get here. They do deal considerable damage, but I still think it's an okay deal for me. A little bit of damage, but at the end of the day, it allows me to push forward with my static defense. You can see I am actually starting to camp this area with turrets, because there will be a Void Thrasher here later on, so I actually want to be in position to intercept that before it arrives. Factory once again providing vision from my laser drill. It is getting whacked at, but it is providing valuable vision for my laser drill to shoot at these enemies before they even get close. Ares, on the other hand, making their way downtown, passing spines and spores, and whacking this hive. Factory once again moving back into position. I will build a turret here to kind of prevent the enemy from marching forward. You can see I'm once again targeting this hive here, so that it will cease producing stuff for the enemy. However, it will not be successful. It will survive. Which is a little unfortunate, but it is ultimately fine because I already have static defense on the way. You can see I'm kiting with the Hercules, whacking these roaches with each drop. I actually have to evacuate this tank.
Hybrid signature detected.
Laser drill, once again getting free whacks at the enemy. Meanwhile, my tank production is well underway. You can see that I'm still producing off of one factory. The reason for that is I'm spending some of my gas and minerals producing more upgrades, or upgrading more upgrades from the armories, also producing the static defense. That's why I can't quite get a second factory just yet. Now you can see that I'm floating a few minerals and some gas. So I have a choice to make here. I can either drop the gas drones to increase my gas income, which I do, or I can add more static defense, which I opted not to do this time because I have sufficient defense here. They are right on top of this thrasher, and they are not able to deal any appreciable damage to my forces. Lurkers went down in the front. You see tanks doing an amazing job holding the line and not letting the enemies through. Meanwhile, I have these turrets going up here because the one weakness of siege tanks is they do not shoot up. There will be an air hybrid here, a hybrid nemesis, which will be trying to get to the temple, and the job of these turrets here is to do what the tanks can't, shoot down air hybrid. Meanwhile, I'm slow pushing here with a singular tank and a singular SCV and lots of minerals to turret push forward, and you can see with Swann's turrets it is in fact possible, it is mucho possible to whack these areas. You can see another factory providing vision allowed my laser drill to tear down this hive over here so that the enemy will no longer be able to produce stuff to throw at me. Backup turrets, you can see I have 3 firing, I have 1 stun and 2 more on the way. That will actually give me the necessary firepower to destroy those air hybrids without taking damage or any losses on my own. You can see even the stunned missile turret provides vision for my laser drill. That is critical to success. The laser drill so far is 177 kills, pretty good. You can see I have building armor upgraded off my engineering bay. And another armor upgrade from the armory. Meanwhile, Amon's direct drops not doing a whole lot because they drop right in siege tank range, which usually does not end well for roaches. I'm sure the 1v1 players here can attest. Dropping roaches in front of siege tanks, well, within range of siege tanks, usually not the brightest idea. Speaking of tanks, pushing forward with these shooters, whacking away at the space. Meanwhile, turrets in position will destroy this thrasher, make sure it doesn't do a whole lot. In fact, it's trying to kill a tank but doesn't even do it, so it doesn't do anything pretty much, because I did already research that upgrade from the armory, which will allow my mechanical units to regen health over time. You can see it's gaining health at a, I would say, decent rate. And now that I've almost completed the upgrades, I now have +2 attack and +3 armor. I can now afford to produce off a second factory, which I'm in fact doing. Gotta delete these workers and these buildings first, so that I'll be able to not worry about an attack wave. Teleport back to the base, and this is probably the first really threatening fight of the game, because there are a lot of hybrids here, including an air hybrid and a wave 2. The good news is I fended off the north one. Now for the south one, I have been continuously producing tanks. This looks good because I was continually producing tanks for the whole duration of the game. So you can see I am starting to float 1,000 minerals, but it's for most of the game it's been kept under control. And with that, I think the reason is because I'm no longer upgrading off of this other armory. Then again, Yeah, I just slapped on another factory, so I don't really have to float. I don't really have to float anything anymore. Ah, so this is where I'm behind. I don't actually have a depot building. I probably should have a depot right there. 19th wave will be at the northeast of the map, and will come here via drops, which will be promptly dealt with by these siege tanks. Meanwhile, a 20-minute attack wave will come in from the southwest. They're not smart. I have planned and have siege tanks ready to meet and greet said attack wave. Meanwhile, enemy tries and fails. This is a veritable kill zone. This ledge right here is probably one of the most legendary kill zones in all of co-op, because so many things drop here. And players are usually already prepared for them when they do drop. So yeah, the blood here is probably a perpetual fountain that does not extinguish, because ammo keeps dropping and tanks keep shelling. Not just in this game, but in all games pretty much. Because Amon chooses to just keep dropping there. They did disable some of my tanks, and I do need to rebuild them, but I will not count it as a loss because it is not actually lost. Also because it will be difficult to keep track of the tanks that go into wreckage mode. One more wave here will be dealt with pretty easily. Now for the next wave, we will have factory, giving vision to my laser drill, whacking away at this Zen stone. Roaches trying to be cute, end up still being pools of blood on the ground after all is said and done. Now, the next part of the game will have the double thrasher. I have tanks and turrets prepared on one side, need to prepare the other. Tanks are here. More tanks on the way. More tanks have sieged on the south end. And another attack wave is ready to smash into my ramp, which is, I would not say is a good idea. Attack wave melting in front of my siege tank line and Flaming Betty. Another attack wave deleted without much trouble, and the last prong of the 3-prong attack wave washes away up this ramp of death. Next is probably what I would say is the most dangerous wave, because it has a lot of hybrid on both sides, and I am necessarily divided into 3 because there was another wave at 130, so I actually have to divide myself to fight essentially 2 separate hybrid waves. Here comes one. They do walk in separately, which allows my siege tanks to get several volleys off, but on the second one, they do proceed and smash a few of my static defense, but I have deployed Ares once again to act as meat shields for my static defense. How often do you see that? Units acting as meat shields for static defense. Well, in this time at least, you've seen it. So now there's like 146 remaining. You can see here on the top left. Defend the temple, that time remaining, and last Zenith stone was destroyed by the laser drill, the starport fighter division. Last wave time, one on each side. Do this to Thingus, delete this Thingus, make them not a thing, and you can see the benefit of pushing forward. My tanks don't really need to shell away at random stuff building static defense on the map. I have a few more factories here, just kinda letting my siege tanks fire freely from distance because they're absorbing some of the damage. I probably shouldn't have done this in hindsight, because that will take away from the damage of my units, because they have fewer killed units. Because the kills are, yeah, just in front of the range of my siege tanks. I maybe should have loaded them a little closer, but it is fine. They are still completely demolished, and that is game. So all that's left to do is wait for the victory screen and then the score screen. Alright.
The temple is ready for activation. Well thought.
There it is. So let us check out the score screen. So here we have Swann stats. Let's pull out the spreadsheet. Damage wise, laser drill. We add the turret, 6.9%. Siege tank, 54.2%. Spinning dizzy, 7.5%. Plus prediction turret, that is 1%. The spinning or the flame Betty, 95%. That is a very good score. Temple health, once again, fully survived. Nothing new. Survival, of course, always the most involved. I made 50 tanks. Wait, how many tanks survived? 50 tanks. Add 14 billies. I lost 6 but salvaged 1, so that'll be 9 that survived. I made 31 spinning dizzies, lost 7. So that should be around 24 that lived. I probably can do something for the Flaming Betty. Spinning dizzies is the missile turret. Flaming Betty, I couldn't really get stats for that. Let's just not include that in the survival stats. Divide by the maid, 50, add 14, add 31. That is an 87% survival rate. Actually, it's not quite as good as Kerrigan's. I find that surprising. Is it because Kerrigan has transfuse? I think that transfuse might have pushed Kerrigan ever so slightly ahead of Swann here. I find that strange. Or maybe I salvaged more blaster billies than I thought. I might have actually salvaged more blaster billies than I thought. You know what? Let's go back. Okay, I'm watching these two turrets here. I'm wondering if I actually salvaged them. I also have more stuff here. Still here. Oh, I did salvage these two. Yeah, there were 2 turrets here. I salvaged them. Okay, I think one was a blaster billy, one was a spinning dizzy. So I'll have to remove 1 lost off of each of them. So we add 1 survived blaster billy, another survived spinning dizzy.
Combat drop ready. Base.
Are there any more salvaged stuff here?
Our SCVs.
Oh, look, more salvaged stuff. Yeah, look at that. More salvaged stuff. That was 2 spinning dizzies and a blaster billy. Alright. So we'll add 2 spinning dizzies back. 27 and 1 blaster billy back. 11. Yeah, I probably should have been paying more attention to what stuff I salvage. Do I salvage these 3?
Our SCVs.
Yeah, in fact, those were the 3 that I was talking about. I'm dumb sometimes. Okay. Yeah, I think this is about right. This seems about right. Don't quite salvage this one. One survived. I have 2 here. Why salvage these? Oh, I lost one of those. Okay, that makes sense. I lost one of those.
Amon has called forth.
Is under attack.
Did I salvage any?
SCVs.
Did I lose any here?
Base.
Turret's still here. Alright, I think that's about it. Yeah. So let's do a final count. 92.6. Oh, total, by the way, is 8.69. So what number does Swann need on likes to just outmatch carry? I think it's... No, it's 22. Yeah, only 22% of you guys need to like Swann static defense to put her over Kerrigan static defense, and I think a lot of you. Let me just preface this by saying I don't think Swann's like percentage will be lower than Kerrigan's because Swann is a known static defense guy. But again, guys, it's gonna be up to you. You will determine because a poll will go up tomorrow asking you guys whether you like Swann's static defense relative to other commanders' static defense. I'll see you guys next time.